Welcome to the Emporium Outdoors. My name is Michael, and today we're going to be talking about the Bluetti Elite 200. So right off the bat, this unit was sent to me by Bluetti, and thank you very much for doing that. Just a quick heads up to check the links in the description. Bluetti has some amazing deals on right now where there's massive discounts, especially on this Elite 200. Check the links in the description. The Bluetti Elite 200 is the largest power station in the range that I own of theirs, and I've been very impressed with it so far. So to get started, we'll go over some of the features that makes this power station stand out. Then we'll go over the physical box itself, and then we'll go through some real world testing. Then I'll go over some of the recent events that I've been using this for and how it's really helped me out. So first off, let's talk about the capacity. This has 2073 watt hours of power. And just to equate what that actually means, I'll put up a little grid so you can see what you can charge and for how long, just to give you a point of reference. The way that power is delivered is through 2600 watts of continuous power. So that's actually quite a lot of power. Typically from a household outlet, you can pull about 1500 watts. So this is obviously more capacity than a standard outlet in your home. And the 2600 watts is actually shared amongst these four outlets, and you'll notice they are the T-slot type, so that indicates that they're a 20 amp outlet. So another really great feature with a lot of the Bluetti devices is they have this feature called lift power. So if you're powering something that has a large startup current, most solar generators will kind of fail out and just trip. This model can do the power lift up to 3900 watts, which is pretty insane. And it will do that for a couple of minutes until the load is stabilized, and then it will bring it back down to that 2600 watt level. Another really big key feature is that you can put 1000 watts of DC energy into this device, so either solar or through other DC charging methods. Despite the amount of power this thing contains, it's actually a pretty small form factor compared to some of the older generation of power stations. However, it is pretty heavy, so it's going to be 50 pounds plus. I think it's like 53 pounds, somewhere around there. So you're going to need a bit of strength to move this thing around. Now getting onto the recharge, we're looking at about 1.4 hours pulling 1800 watts from a domestic power source. Bluetti expects this device to last quite a long period of time. Typically all these units come with a 5-year warranty, which the Elite 200 does, and it also comes with a 6000 plus recharge at the 80% level. So what they're saying is after 6000 recharges, the battery will be no less than 80% capacity, which is excellent. So Bluetti also claimed this has a lifespan of about 17 years. That's kind of a long time. I don't think I've ever seen something quite that long. 5-10 years, I'd say is a good length. 17, if it does last that long, that's pretty incredible. Just for the record, of all the power stations that I've used and tested, Bluetti have been consistently good. I've never had a bad one. Okay, so let's go over some of the physical aspects of the Elite 200. So on the front, you'll see like most Bluettis, it's laid out very similar. We've got the PV input or the DC input in the top left corner. We have the 12-volt cigarette lighter output. We have 3 buttons to control the power for the DC, the main power, and the AC. We have 1 USB Type-C. We have 2 USB Type A's and another USB Type C. I can see that the USB Type C's are the 100 watt version, so even if you have a very powerful laptop, a gaming laptop, these outputs should be enough to keep the laptop charged while you still play your game. Over here we already spoke about the 4 20 amp 110 outlets, and that's more or less the front. The display is common amongst most of the Bluettis, and it's a very bright display. You can see it in daylight. It's simple, it tells you everything you need to know right on the front. Moving the unit across to the left hand side, we have the 3.5mm earthing jack. We have the C13 charging port for the 110 inlet. We also have a circuit breaker on this side. On the back we have all the information regarding the unit itself and all the registrations, etc. On this side, all we have is just a simple fan for cooling. So that's all the physical features. So a couple of things that aren't on this that you might expect it. Firstly, it doesn't have the wireless charging that some of the other units have. So if you want to plug your iPhone on the top and charge it that way, this unit doesn't have that feature. It also doesn't have the emergency light that a lot of the other power stations have. So normally we'll have like a strip light that you can turn on and off. which is great for emergency use. This unit doesn't have that. And thirdly, it doesn't have the connectors to plug in a Bluetti expansion battery to expand the capacity of this unit. So they're the three main things that it doesn't have. So I will say that the expansion battery ports may not be a thing for you. If you have, for instance, another power station, you can simply just plug in the outlet from here into the charge port of the next one. So you can cascade them down. Having those connectors isn't a must. However, it is a lot more efficient. So the downside to charging from another power station is that you're going to have losses. So you convert it from battery to AC to AC to battery again. So that generates heat and losses, whereas a DC connected battery is going to be a lot more efficient. So one thing to note, you can put 1,000 watts of solar panels into this power station, which is quite significant. So you would have to have quite a few panels together to make that work. Typically, you'll run 2 sets of panels in parallel, which will bump up the voltage and increase the amount of watts you can put in. But 1,000 watts is a lot of power into one power station. So who is this power station for? I would say this is for someone that uses it for RVing, so they're putting it into a travel trailer or maybe a van conversion, or if you're overlanding or you have some big power requirements at home because your power is unstable and you need to keep your fridge or your furnace running for a longer period of time. I really like the deployments in, let's say, a van conversion. Instead of buying all the individual components for your van conversion like Victron or whichever, so you've got your MPPT controller for solar, you've got your DC to DC inverter, your DC to AC inverter, all these different components, the shunt, etc. It's all in this box. If I was going to build a van conversion, I would just use the box itself. And the beauty is, if you want to upsize or downsize your power requirements, all you have to do is unplug a couple of cables from the unit, slide in a new one, and you're all upgraded or downgraded, whichever you need. There's nothing else to it. With my bumper tow travel trailer, that's exactly how I did it. I just plugged in the shore power cable to one of the outlets, ran it to the inside of the RV, and I plugged in the solar panels to the outside, so they were outside doing their charging, and it would run the 110 outlets in the RV. So I'll give you a little example of how we used it recently that really helped us out. My wife and I moved from our place in Medicine Hat to another place further north, and we had to live in our travel trailer for a couple of weeks, and the temperature plummeted. We had lots of snow. We got down to minus 15 Celsius, which is pretty cold. You need heat at that sort of temperature. The place we had the RV was at a friend's cabin, and we had pretty unreliable power. The 110 breaker kept popping during the night. Bad breaker, I suspect. However, if the power went out, the furnace went out, my wife's CPAP stopped working. So having something like this power generator was very, very useful indeed. I would plug the AC power into the input and then plug the shore power for the travel trailer into the AC. So even if that power popped during the night, the furnace would continue to run, my wife's CPAP would continue to function, and I wouldn't have to listen to her snoring all night. Then when I went out in the morning and reset the breaker, then this thing would charge up during the day and we'd be good to go for the next night. So this actually saved my bacon in that situation. If you do deploy this in your home, then this would be good for running a furnace, for instance, or running a refrigerator or freezer for a prolonged period of time. It's not going to last indefinitely, obviously, but if you can get solar panels to it, you could run for a couple of days, I would expect, on most systems. Another option is to use this for an uninterruptible power supply. I use a smaller one of these for my network infrastructure, so my router, switches, access points, etc. So if the power does go out, I can continue to have internet connectivity. You can also plug in computer devices into these ports and plug the AC side in. If the AC side drops out, then the batteries will kick in, provide the AC to the outlets. The switchover is around 15 milliseconds, which is good enough for most computer equipment. One other feature I will mention is the ability to use the Bluetti app. I love this app. It's very, very simple. You can control the AC and DC outputs. It tells you how much charge is coming in. It's got everything that you need all in this little app, and you can tune some of the features. One great feature is you can reduce the amount of AC that it will draw if recharging, for instance. If you're plugging in a smaller power station, you can actually reduce it to say 500 watts rather than trying to pull that full 1800 watts. So you can pull from smaller units to charge up the larger units. From the app, you can also control things like the charging mode. At the moment it's set to standard, whether you have powerlifting enabled or not, the screen timeout. There's a whole swag of things in here that you can do, and I really enjoy using the Bluetti app. One of the features that's related to this power station is if you're going to use this in a mobile function, so you're using it for overlanding or camping, you're putting it in your van conversion, etc. If you charge it typically from the 12 volt that you get here from your cigarette lighter in your vehicle, that's 100 watts, say, give or take. To charge this thing up with 100 watts is going to take an eternity. By the time you get to your destination, this thing's going to be barely charged if all you've got is that 100 watts input if it's fully depleted. So Bluetti have thought of this and they've produced this module. This is called the ChargeOne, and it allows you to pull more power out of your car alternator or your truck alternator. So basically what you've got is you've got a couple of connectors here for your input. That would go to your battery. You connect this to the positive and negative on your battery. And you've got the output. So you connect the output cables, which then plugs into your DC input. The way this thing works is it will produce up to 560 watts, which is over 5 times what you get out of your normal cigarette connection in your vehicle. So this is going to give you a lot more charging power while you're on the road, and it's more likely that you're going to get to your destination with a full charge. So I plan to do a full installation and demonstration of the unit as a separate video. So I'll kind of put that to one side, but please be aware this is available for you. Okay, so I've got a couple of devices out here. I'm going to give this a go. So I've got my DeWalt battery charger. Let's stick that in. Hopefully you can see the display because the sun is pretty bright. Turn the AC power on. Okay, so the battery charge is just kicked in, which is good. Got a nice kettle here, so I'm going to throw that on because I might need a cup of tea afterwards. So I'm pulling it's about 1500 watts right there, and let's see if my dethatcher is going to work as well. So this is a 12 amp unit, so we should be good. But so my lawn has this terrible fairy ring, so I'm going to dethatch that and see if I can get something to work. Let's see if we can get to go. So we're boiling the kettle, we're running the battery, see if we can run this thing. So hopefully you can see that, because this camera is a little bit flickery, but I was pulling about 2500 watts at one point, then it jumped down, so no problem sustaining that power at all. So in summary, what do I think of the Elite 200 power station? I think it's a good all-round power station. It has some of the features that some people might like missing, like the light, if that's important to you, the charge is important, and perhaps the additional auxiliary battery connections. However, I think with the upgrade in the longevity, it has the 5-year warranty, has the 6,000 plus recharge cycle, and the 17-year durability life cycle. 17 years is a long time, but it has it all here. If you're going to buy it, you buy it once and hold on to it. Like I say, I've had really good reliability and I've owned Bluetti products for several years. So let me know in the comments if this is something you would put into your van conversion or your RV, or you would use this around your home as well. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have in the comments, and until next time, take care. And as always, thank you very much for watching. If you like my videos, leave me a comment, maybe a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe.